Hi everyone, it's Craig. Welcome to Cutting the Crap with Chap. Thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and podcast. Please share it out. I hope you really like it and get something out of it. Today is a topic that I've covered something called simplifying strength, but this is kind of a follow-up to it, and that is called 7 reasons why you're not getting stronger. No BS. Now, before I get into it, let me just kind of throw this out there. One of the questions that's so common is like, we all have opinions on fitness. There's so many fitness influencers, and I follow a lot of them, and some are amazing, some not so much. It's all over the place. And I want to kind of just clarify something. So first of all, why am I doing this and what makes me an expert? That's always kind of the question. First of all, I'm doing it because I love fitness. I've been training and doing fitness since I've been 13. I'm 58, been doing it for 45 years. My background, I have a degree in exercise science, went to college for it, been teaching, coaching it, doing it for a very, very long time. So does that make me an expert? That's impossible to say, but I would say that having a background in it and doing it for so long and learning a lot definitely helps. So I'm throwing that out there. That's not bragging. It's just kind of keeping it simple, as to why I'm sharing it. Okay. And the 7 I'm going to give, they are not all inclusive. There are others as well, but legitimately, you could come up with 20 reasons why somebody's not getting stronger, but they're not all equal. And I'm sure some people will ask questions and disagree, and that's great. That's how you learn and get better. But the 7 I'm going to give you, I think, are really universal. And before I get into them, let me just state clearly: if you are somebody who's a beginner who has never strength trained at all, you can do so many things wrong and get better because your body has basically done nothing. And if you go from nothing to something, initially you're going to get better. So I'm going to throw that out there. But if you are somebody who's been strength training or you're much more advanced, you can't, the gains are harder to come by, but they're not impossible. So with that said, here we go. Number 1 on the list is not having a plan. And this is something I see more than anything else when I go to the gym or I train people or help students. Way too many people are instinctively trained. That means that they go to the gym and they do whatever they feel like doing. They pick up whatever weight they feel like doing. They do whatever many sets and reps. And there's no real rhyme or reason behind why they do that. And again, initially, that will work because you're adding stress to the body. It's going to adapt and you're going to get better. But after a while, that's not going to work anymore. There's got to be some kind of specific plan that you're going to follow. And I'm not saying you have to micromanage it. I think that's overkill, but you do need a plan that is going to work for you. And again, there's a million plans, but hopefully after I follow up with this, it'll help. Number 2, going hard all of the time. So when you see a fitness influencer or a bodybuilder, whatever it is, you rarely ever see them going moderately hard because it's not sexy. Like, nobody wants to see somebody leave 3 reps in the tank. They want to see somebody going all out. And should you go very close to failure or to failure sometimes? Absolutely. You have to add stress to your body. People will talk a lot about progressive overload. You have to have that. But if you are going all out all of the time, you are going to either overtrain, get hurt, or both. And let me be clear. I'm talking about somebody who's natural. I'm not talking about somebody who's on some kind of supplement or drug. That's a different story. I'm not really speaking to that. But if you are a natural trainer, somebody who's training naturally, you cannot go all out all the time. There's a lot of nuance behind it. Number 3, too much volume or too little volume. And volume, what I mean by that is the sets, reps, and weight that you do. Okay. There's a lot of recent data on how many sets and reps somebody needs to get better. And obviously, a lot of the science is valuable. But just keep in mind a couple things. If you're trying to do 30 or 40 sets per body part a week, I am not going to say to you that that is always going to be too much. I don't know your training. I don't know your stress level, your rest, your food, all those things. But I'm going to make a generalization that if you're doing 30 or 40 sets a week per body part, you are not training hard enough, because in order to do that, if you did 30 or 40 sets really, really hard, you'd be so incredibly fatigued that it would be hard to do other workouts. It's that simple. The other side of it is you're not doing enough. You know, doing like Mike Menser, like one hard set for, for the vast majority of people, it's not going to be enough. You're going to need to do more. And what is that sweet spot? Okay. And again, this is going to vary on so many things: your age, your training experience, your stress level, your rest, your job, and lots of other things. But I really think for most people, if you are doing somewhere between, let's say, 8 and about 20 sets per week per body part, that's a really good sweet spot. And again, that range is wide. And if if somebody did 7, would that be worse? If they did 21, would that be worse? We don't know. There's a lot of variables. But too much volume, not good. Too little volume, not too good. Number 4, and this one is critical, and I call it not seeing the big picture. What I mean by that is, when it comes to getting stronger, it is not just your training that you do. The training is a big piece, but it's not nearly all of it. It's the big picture is how much rest you get and your recovery, the food that you're taking in, your stress level, your attitude. All those things are part of the big picture. And I'll give you a perfect example. So this is kind of the way I look at it. Is if you were going to squat, let's say, on a Saturday, and Friday night you went out and you had a bunch of beers and a pizza, and you were going to squat heavy the next day, you could come in the next day and squat great, but there's a much greater chance that you're going to struggle because of not eating the right foods and what you drank. It's not always going to be that way, but a lot of times it is. So that's kind of like seeing that big picture, seeing how it all comes together. I'm not suggesting that we need to be perfect, because that's totally unrealistic, but we do want to see those things. Again, stress in your life, your job, your rest, your food, the relationships, they all make a difference, especially as you get longer into your training. Number 5, understanding recovery and rest. Again, this goes back to the not sexy piece. You rarely hear people talk about taking the day off that they did or deloading. But as a competitive powerlifter, somebody who is passionate about it, I can tell you that the rest and recovery are huge. Taking 2 or 3 days to go easier off is not going to make you weak. And if somebody tells you that, they don't know what the heck they're talking about. Taking a couple days to deload or go a little bit easier is not going to result in any kind of loss of strength or muscle size, especially if your training up to that has been quality. So you have to have enough rest and recovery to be successful. Number 6, is it a hobby or is it part of your life? Okay, I'll say it again. Is it a hobby or part of your life? Now, for me, it has been a part of my life since I've been young, but even more so as I've gotten older, in my 20s, 30s, and now I'm 58. So, a hobby, I'm not saying it's bad for it to be a hobby, but depending on how serious you are, I look at the hobby as, it's convenient training. Like, I feel good today, I'll go to the gym. I feel like crap today, I'm not going to go. When it's part of your life, you really understand the concept of doing what you need to do to help be successful. And the last one, number 7, I call this biceps but not legs. And what I mean by that is, yes, of course, it's nice to have good arms and big arms, and that's awesome, good. But if you are not training with some serious compound movements, squatting, cleaning, deadlifting, pressing heavy, you are limiting your gains big time. I'm not saying that every single day needs to be everything compound movements, but compound movements They are going to get you freaking strong. They are going to get you big. They promote so much of a stress adaptation. If you don't know what that means, they cause a lot of stress on your body in a good way if you handle it right. So, again, I'm not suggesting that somebody not do biceps. I'm saying that everything is about a balance. If I have never heard of anybody who has gotten so strong in their whole body by just doing tricep pushdowns and hammer curls. They're doing a lot of other things. So there's my 7. I hope you liked them. Please subscribe and ask lots of questions. That's what it's all about, having a discussion and learning from each other. So thank you again for all you do. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you soon.